Reading is one of my favorite pastimes. I really enjoy collecting books, reading them, exposing myself to new ideas through literature, like reading old books, new books, and I like to keep on top of all the new releases. And I really enjoy also cataloging them. I absolutely think it is important to have a catalog of all the things you enjoy. For example, I use Letterboxd for movies. I use a site called Backloggd for video games, which are highly well made for people who have collections of video games, movies, and something I've realized is that the most popular one, Goodreads for books, is just not enough for me. I'm gonna argue why I don't like Goodreads that much. I've been using it for years now. Same way I've been using Letterboxd to keep a catalog of all my movies, of all the things, for like just tracking everything. Because I'm also like a hugely perfectionist when it comes to this kind of stuff. I like keeping track of everything through lists, rankings, tops, based on genres, based on different directors. I think it is very interesting the way like they just keep basically a database of all the movies that have ever existed, and also with video games through Backloggd. And the same thing, you might argue, happens with Goodreads. I haven't found any book that is not there, and if it's not, they just add it to the database. But the site itself is just not very intuitive. So this video is going to be a sort of rant about the site, because I decided a couple months ago that I was just not going to use it anymore. I mean, I still keep a catalog of my books, this time through an Excel sheet. So basically I wrote like all the titles of the books, all the authors, how many pages it has, like how long it's going to take me to basically read each book, the popularity of each one. And I'm close to completing that database, but it's basically something that I have to manually type into Excel. And so you might be asking, why not use Goodreads the same way I use Letterboxd for movies and even Spotify for music? I like also cataloging the music. Like I said before, I'm really perfectionist. The main reason has to be like the UI, the user interface, and just the intuitive of the site is garbage. And that's putting it lightly. I think Goodreads is a highly outdated site. It has a lot of good features. I've like explored books through there. I've gone through the top lists and also like the tag list. Like for example, people would tag books with a certain thing and you can just look through that. But other than that, it's just like impossible to use. It feels like a site that somebody designed in 2007 and hasn't updated since. The systems are highly archaic. For example, when I try to create a list, like there's not even a list function. You have to do tags for each book. So basically you tag the book and it kind of creates this like pseudo list that you can actually order the same way you do with Letterboxd lists and stuff. But you have to manually like go through different settings like hoops and hurdles to just like rank a book. And also the loading time is really, really bad. So this is like my main issue, and my main way to go through these lists is, yeah, basically through lists. So the way that I've been using Letterboxd is just completely different from Goodreads. I feel like the tag system doesn't work. It is very like clunky, and this also relates to the way you try to look for different books. It is insane how in 2024 Goodreads doesn't have a filtering option. For example, if you go through the books, there's not even like a catalog of the most popular. There is, like, you can actually go through the data and have the most popular, the books with the most number of ratings are automatically the most popular. Like, why is there not a function to rank all the books from the most popular one to the least one, and then filter them by year? Like, it's insane to me that after so many years we still haven't had that option, and that is probably the most annoying thing for me. So I just basically do it manually in Excel. But gosh, I feel like that's like the most important thing. And the site feels like it just generally, like in the forums, I was looking for ways to overcome this, to just like try to find ways around it, but I couldn't do it. Like there seems like there's no updates, there's no like major following that it's giving to Goodreads. And this might be in part because, as far as I know, there's not like a premium version. For example, in Backloggd, I'm a Patreon member. In Letterboxd, I also pay for the premium version sometimes, some years, and it's good. It has a lot of issues, and it's constantly updated. And I feel like this, like Goodreads, is just not good for that. And this also extends to comic books. I feel like there's no real way to organize comic books, for example, through volumes, through series. There's kind of like a half feature that does that, but at the same time, it's just so clunky to use. Like if you want to review and catalog each individual, even issues of a certain comic book, because those are available, you have to go through so many steps just to get them all in a single list. The same with volumes, with compendiums. So I was like, dude, I just rather like review the entire, like, for example, what I would do is I take a volume, like the first one or the last one, and use that to review the entire series. There's no like options for that. I know there's like different sites that do the same thing with TV shows that are not as complex as Letterboxd or as well maintained, but there has to be a way to just have a good collection of comic books. I have to go to different sites to research all the new ones that come out. For example, in Letterboxd, you can just go filter through the most popular ones, the ones with the highest ratings. And there's nothing like that in Goodreads. There's not even an option to filter through the highest ratings. So you have to just kind of like go and look for them and throughout the site. The social aspect of Goodreads is also kind of weird. Like you can kind of see a feed with all your friends sharing their latest updates, but there's not like a very intuitive way to keep track of them the same way as it's done in Backloggd and Letterboxd. And I just feel like all this lack of database options and filtering and sorting is a very big issue in Goodreads. And I was using it for a lot of years. I had like my list, my pseudo lists through tags, and also adding and just like modifying those lists is very impossible. You have to go and like pick manually the tags and then go through 2 other steps. Something that in, for example, Letterboxd, you could just like click it and then send it to different lists, like very instantaneous. And I feel like that's missing from that. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but it's kind of the main reason I just stopped using the site, because it's just like there's so many like things that you could just do much simpler in other databases and other sites. It's so hard to do. It's like really, really annoying. And yeah, those are pretty much my feelings. I don't know what this video was going to be. It was going to be more like a rant, more like a complaint, because I love that all the books in the world is basically like the go-to site to see what books are the most popular. But at the same time, like the lack of these options makes it such an annoying process to just go and look for books that you actually want to read. So anyways, this is like my cry into the void of if anybody from Goodreads is listening to this, you got to really update the site to make it a little bit more like Letterboxd. And yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts on the site. So if you like this video, like it and subscribe. I'll see you next time.